Hello and welcome back to my new improved channel with a view of me, which I know you've all been waiting for. After I played the Tomas bot, the Maria bot, and the Elena bot, all of which I've done videos on, I played the next 1200 rated bot that I could find, which was Wilson. Wilson displays the Haiti flag. That's kind of important to me. A few of my family members, including my spouse, are Haitians, or of Haitian descent. So I thought that was pretty cool. Again, I let the bot choose whether I got to play black or white pieces. This time, oddly, it wasn't about even. I only played the white pieces 3 times and had the black pieces all the other times, which is fine. I could probably use practice with those. When I was playing with the black pieces, Wilson opened with f4 all 7 times. So that's the bird's opening. One of them eventually transposed into the Sicilian defense somehow, but it gave me some chances to practice against an opening I'm not familiar with and probably won't see that often in the wild, but we played it. As white, I always opened with d4 trying to play the London, but the bot turned them into Dutch defenses at least once, I think maybe twice. As far as number of moves, there was no progression from longer games to shorter games. Had a few short ones at the beginning, a pretty long one at the beginning too. Over at the right of this chart, you can see the orange lines. Those are my averages against the last 3 bots that I played. And those are in order. I went shorter and shorter games each time, but against Wilson, I went back up almost as much as against Maria, averaging 46.1 moves per game. As far as blunders go, I also did not improve here. I had improved from against Tomas, then down to Maria, even further. I only had 4 blunders total in my 10 games against the Elena bot, but against Wilson, I went back up to 1.4 blunders per game. So that's 14 blunders, spread out over 10 games. And I think 3 of them or 4 of them are in one of the games I'm about to show you. But Wilson also blundered more than the last 2 bots. And so, hopefully, I can get better at seeing those blunders. Now, I'm going to bring up the chessboard. This was the game in which I had the highest accuracy percentage. I believe it was 96.5%. But that's because the bot blundered early. And here, I was trying to play the London, which I'm still working on, still learning. Wilson plays f5, which is the Dutch defense. So we're doing okay until about here. But then, like, this bishop move here doesn't make any sense. I believe as part of the Dutch defense, you actually want to keep the bishop around and eventually put it over here someplace. But also this check is just pointless because now I force you to make another bishop move, and this is part of my normal development. So I'm getting to do my normal development while Wilson has to move that bishop again. But Wilson didn't move the bishop again. Fortunately for me, I immediately recognize that blunder and I get the free piece. Now at least Wilson can get this pawn back and I have a little hole in my structure. I mean, that hole could benefit me or Wilson, but Wilson didn't take the pawn. So now Wilson's made a blunder and a mistake, one right after the other. So here, I directly threatened the queen, and now there's this big hole in the king side. So I start, first I go after the knight, which I get, and then I start going after this hole in the king side. Right here, opening the diagonal to bring my queen in, which I do. And here, it's a fairly simple matter. I was trying to be careful, but right here, I have mate in 2, and I didn't see it. The idea is, right there, remember the knight is protected by the pawn, the queen is protected by the knight. So this forces the king to go here, and that's checkmate. Boom, boom. All right, but instead in the game I did this. So it took a little longer to clean this out, but there aren't really any bad moves for me at this point because of those 2 very early mistakes by the bot. So I take the queen, and then I just basically start chopping off pieces, clearing out pawns. It's going to take a second to get in there, and the bot's not going to resign. So that rook doesn't know what to do because it has nowhere to go. Yeah, so I just come through there and clear everything out and get a checkmate. Move 32. So pretty easy, but again, because of the early mistakes. The good thing for me was that I recognized those blunders by the bot and kept going. Now in this game, the blunders were not made by the bot. Well, it made mistakes and blunders, but mine were more important. For example, now right here, that's not a really good move because I can easily block this check. But what's important for me is that this pawn is in the way of the queen. Okay? And so when I block this check, it looks to me, and I set it in my head, that that pawn is there. Even after the pawn does that, I still think this queen can't get over here. So I did that. One move blunder. But surprisingly enough, giving away this bishop is not why I lost this game, because the bot very kindly made its own blunder right here, and a further mistake that allowed me to get the piece back, a different piece, but still we're even on material. And I have an advantage, and I maintain this advantage for much of the game. We make some trades, we maneuver around. We're not playing perfectly, but I've got an advantage. 2 points. The computer's saying I now have a 6-point advantage. It kind of vacillates back and forth. Now I have a 7-point advantage. And it looks like I'm close. I've got an open file for my rook. I've got some unguarded pawns hanging around. And yeah, that wasn't perfect. I was trying to protect this pawn because it's not guarded. I probably should have just went ahead and come this way, thinking about coming down to the back rank. But now I've still got a 9.7 point advantage. Over here it's saying 9.1. Okay, going after the bishop. They protect the bishop. And here I had a pretty cool idea as far as it went. I thought, you know what, I can take a pawn, and even though I lose my queen, they'll lose their queen too. So I come out a pawn ahead. But that's as far as I thought, and I didn't see that I would also lose my bishop. So yeah, that's a blunder, not of a queen, but of a bishop. So now I'm a full piece behind. It helps that I'm 3 pawns ahead on the pawn side, so we're even on material, but it's difficult. The computer rates this really close to even, and it stays really close to even. I get the bishop, right? Okay, so now I'm 3 points ahead. And right here, I do need to take my rook somewhere because it's being threatened. But there's only one good place to take it. And this is the blunder that lost me the game, because actually right now it says I have a slight advantage, but I did that and the bot saw it and I lost. So what I need to work on, what I plan to work on in the future, especially as I continue playing the bots, is to look for these blunders. That's where I'm winning and losing with the bots. As these last 2 games showed, when the bot made the mistakes, I'm getting better at recognizing that's a mistake, and number 2, getting better at determining what to do about the bot's mistake. What I am not getting very much better on is making my own blunders, as this game showed. I hung pieces left and right. I gave up that bishop early because I forgot that the queen could guard across there once the pawn moved. Then when I thought it was a pretty sneaky move to get the queens off the board, I didn't see that I was hanging the other bishop. And here, my final blunder, which actually is the one that lost the game, was just hanging mate in 1. I could have, before that, moved one of these pawns out of the way so I'd have a place to run with my king. And here I definitely should have just brought the rook back. This one, could have, like right back here. If I had come down here instead, yeah, this rook can go after this pawn, and that's fine because I have 3 other pawns and a rook. I can continue putting their king in check until I start moving these pawns and get a place for my king to go. But I just hung the one move thing, guess going after their final pawn. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm going to work on. Thank you for watching.